Evening, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Cult of Paint. So this week we're going to be taking a look at what's caught our eye in the miniatures world over the last few weeks. We'll catch up with our paint courses as well, but for the main topic this week, we are going to go through the new and the old history of everybody's favourite space elves, the Eldar. Culture of Paint is aimed at a mature audience, so likely there may be the odd bad word, which we apologise in advance for. So let's get ready and let's talk about some paint. We are live. Evening, everybody. The chat is filling up nicely. Happy to see everybody. Lads, how are we?
Yeah, bloody good, actually, mate. Bloody great.
Good stuff. Stilo, unfortunately, cannot make it today. He sends his apologies, so you'll have to put up with us three instead. But
gonna be naughty tonight.
Yeah, we can do it one. Dad's not here, so we can say what we want.
Got like the naughty stepdad. Rich, he lets us do what we want, so might be longer on this episode.
Yeah, the drunk uncle's in charge.
Yeah, that's it. You're drunk Uncle Rick.
Exactly.
We're almost organised.
Almost, yeah. Right, we'll not mess around. People in the chat, keep the questions coming in for us, but let's start off with our picks. So, what's our first one, Matt? What we got?
Heresy.
Everyone likes a little bit of heresy. Sorry, mine's not working.
No. Was this Henry's pick? This
was Henry's pick. Yeah.
That's why no one's chiming in. So yes. Henry's pick, Mark 6, and I think we're allowed to say that Henry is painting some Mark 6 at the moment. I think we're allowed to say that. I'm pretty sure.
We just did, so I'm sure it's fine. This
definitely allowed to say. We're definitely allowed to say that Cult of Paint will be at the Heresy event. Hopefully, all of us will be winging around, and there might be some Mark 6.
Yeah. New Mark 6 are out. What a time to be alive. The Heresy is reborn. Incoming at some point this year, we know of. What do we think of the Mark 6? I'm very pleased with it.
I've got one question for you both.
What's that?
Now we're looking at the Ultramarine.
Yeah.
There's a line on the chest. Is that like a change in panel, or have they just put an edge highlight there, like in the middle? Like, because I thought it was round, and I don't know if that's just a highlight or it's sculpted on.
I think that's a highlight because I can't see it. Oh, there is a little one on the Night Lord.
I just don't know until I've seen the kit. I haven't seen the kit in real yet. So
no, I'm a massive fan of Mark 6. So I am very keen to see these in real life. They're I like to see the slightly, because even like in the old when we did Heresy before, Mark 6 was never all that popular. So it's nice to see with like probably one of the lesser popular marks of armor getting some love. It'd be good to see quite a lot of them going around. And I love the bolters with the chain swords on the front. So that's really cool.
I love the top left Ultra, actually. I'm assuming it's an Ultra. It's a very subdued blue, and I'm absolutely into it more than the usual blue. I really like it, and it's cool.
I think my favourite one of these.
Oh, we were saying we couldn't see the pic. Can everyone see it now?
Yeah, they can. That was my bad.
Right, okay.
Did we have no slides?
We didn't have a slide. We'll blame for Matt that one. See, look, Henry's not here for one episode, and Matt is sabotaging it already.
That's because I've had to change all the format around last minute.
And now we can't hear him. Can anyone hear? Can you hear Matt?
Can you not hear me? Oh no!
It's Matt that keeps it all together, not Henry, and he's I don't know what he's up to.
Yeah, I know, unbelievable. Anyway, we will continue. So.
I do like them, but I don't see myself doing any Mark 6, to be honest. Only because my Legion, Sons of Horus, I think they look great in Mark 6, but I just don't fancy it. I will wait, and I'm hopeful that they do Mark 2 in plastic. We've done Mark 4, done 6, 3, so 2 is my mark, so I'm waiting for that.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
back?
I kind of...
Yeah.
Hey, we're back.
Oh, there we go.
I kind of agree with you. Like, to be honest, I really like them. I couldn't see. I don't know what I would do in regards to an army. I mean, maybe alphas, but then I don't know if alphas work in an army, even though they're the best heresy army and best marine army by a country mile. I don't know what I would do. But I think they could work for lots of different things. But personally, I agree. I don't see what I would do with them. But I just like them, so I kind of want them.
I think we don't know what's in the box yet. The worst kept secret, but I'm pretty sure there's a plastic Spartan in there, and I basically want to do the stuff that's in the box, but not the Mark 6. And I've got too many things going on. What we're talking about tonight, Eldar, and I will get to my heresy, but I'm not going to jump on this bandwagon. But the moment they release plastic Mark 2, I might do more than one Legion. But I'm waiting for that. Mark 4 is actually my favourite, but I can't handle the small legs. Unfortunately, these have got the glow up with the size. So
that's what I do want to do. I want to see one in real life and compare it to a few other bits and pieces that we've got, like Primaris Marines and the like, just to see the size. I mean, I don't know what I would use it for. Maybe 40k. They'd make a really good 40k army, I think, rather than
best use. Yeah, I think they're all for like RTB01. Really, I think Crimson Fists.
Yes.
Yeah, that for me would be cooler to see than this. But anyway, it's cool that we've got plastic Mark 6, and you can do with that what you want, I reckon.
I think I think bottom left is my personal favourite. I love the finger on the gun.
Controversial. That's one of the most hated, isn't it? Death Guard can't have Mark 6. Some people say.
But those people suck, so we don't listen to them. I saw someone commenting, being like, "It's really nice to see that they've actually got like straps for their bolters when they're using actual proper like trigger practice or whatever it's called, where you don't actually put your finger on the trigger all the time." It's little details like that. I think it's cool.
I do think I'm assuming it's Raven Guard top right looks the best, and I think if you're Raven Guard, this is a good day. Maybe
Raven Guard definitely.
That's it.
Some of
I
these.
think it's just great to see the heresy getting the love, and that it's going to be. I'm assuming it's getting a rework, and it's going to come back in popularity, because it was me and Andy. We know about it, like when we were in it back in 2014, 2015. Like what a place it was to be hobby wise. So anything close to that is a big yes for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into it, and I think I'm not going to jump on it immediately. I want to chip away quite organically, like I've done my contempt for Sons of Horus, and I think slowly chip away rather than go all in. But I love Heresy. I'm doing some at the moment.
I'd love to paint some Heresy World Eaters. That's kind of the chapter that I want to go for, I think, with this new stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Matt, the gatekeepers will kill you if you say chapter.
Legions, potato.
Even I'm doing good at this stuff. My flow's not bad.
If Andy knows and you're getting it wrong, you need to have a very strong look at yourself, mate.
I was saying the other night that I'll go with Horus because I think he did no wrong.
Yeah. I can see that. Right.
Do another slide.
Enough of the heresy. What's next?
So next up is. Here we go.
Aha.
Who could this be?
I wonder.
Me and Matt.
I had a backup pick, so I'll let you have this one.
I think everyone would have picked this. Come on. It's Maxime Penot, who won the last UK Slayer Sword with the Dankhold Troggoth, and he went away for a little while, and he was obviously practicing leveling up, because he has. This for me is the most exciting paint job I've seen in a while, or like one that was, I don't know. This one got me going, and unfortunately, because we see so many minis, not many things do. But this one, I was like, this is yeah, inspirational, amazing, progressive. I think it's really cool. I think the softness on that side of the face, like sort of in one area, lower contrast than maybe we're used to, just more natural looking, even though it's got this sort of OSL side. But yeah, I've always loved Maxime. I'd put him in my top 3 painters, and yeah, just so many good things. Oh, and he sculpted it as well, and you can buy it.
Of course.
Just doing everything, sculpting it, painting it amazingly, standard.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I would love to have like a 2-day workshop, just learning. I think, yeah, non-metallic gold and skin with Maxime. I think I could learn a heap from him. But yeah, it's really good to see him back with something so great. So that piece is going straight in my one of my favorite ever pieces, I think.
Yeah, it's nice. Beautiful. The lighting on the other side of that face is amazing.
Yeah. Just
We'd love to see it in real life. We'd love to see it in real life.
I think he's going to do the World Model Expo, which I'll be going, and I think Matt as well. So definitely some coverage from that. So yeah, I really want to see this in real life. I really want to do a bus now, but I've got too many other things to do. But
don't start changing it now. Brilliant. Really good choice.
It's nice to see him back as well. Like he'll pop away for a while, and then he'll just post this out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm back. Here's the best thing ever. Bye.
Yeah.
It's a very strong flex. Turn up, drop something amazing, and then disappear again.
Yeah, still got it. Bye.
Yeah. Cool choice, man. Really good.
So,
what do we have
next up is this was my pick.
Wow.
So I was just scrolling through and I just went, what the hell? Like, what is it? And then just like you sort of start zooming in and just the texture and the patterns in the cloth and like the porcelain's like style face, it's just mental. It's
what size is it?
This is 200 millimeter, so it's pretty chunky.
Yeah.
But still, they're still quite small.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not big. Not really.
But
that is mental.
Yeah, I was pretty jaw dropped by this. It was but yeah, I just thought it was amazing.
That bottom mask freaks me out. Like, masks really freak me out. Like, when you see them in a shop window. And yeah, that one gets me. I'm glad she hasn't got it on. The face is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's based on this sort of Japanese theatre stuff that they sort of do with like the two masks, which is quite cool.
It's nice to see another really well painted, non-violent based or non necessarily warrior-esque. She's obviously an actress. It's really nice to see just that was almost like a portrait of her, but in miniature form.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's just really cool.
One.
Yeah,
that was my pick.
Wicked, amazing. So next should be me.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. So this I picked. I've had this saved for a while actually because I saw when he built it, because obviously it's a mix of Redemptor Dread, what the big what is it, the Heresy, what dread is it, Andy? You've painted one, I've painted one.
You've got the Custodes
Thank you.
fists, and then you've got Redemptor legs, and then you've got the old Salamander resin dread like stuff. Yeah. So cool. I assumed it was like a print, like 3D file strip. It's all GW bits.
Yeah, all GW bits and green stuff and a bit of a bit of sculpting. It's it's based on the character. You know the character that you can still buy, the Forge World mini dread. That's the Salamander character. I think so. Yeah, the idea is it's a rescaled version of that character.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I love a dread. I love, especially more than that, a very big dread. that still has like the old box dread qualities. So this appealed to me on many a level, and I thought it was awesome. So I chucked it in. I thought it was a great mini.
Yeah, I wouldn't have seen that if you hadn't have put it in, and it's lovely because for me something was lost in the Redemptor Dreadnought. I just don't quite gel with it, and it must be because this is the legs from it. It must just be how the sarcophagus looks, because having that helmet shape and that stuff, it must be something to do with that. I think the arms as well, because these fists are cool, but yeah, something just didn't gel with me in the Redemptor compared to a classic box Naught Contemptor. I almost think it's the worst Dread, to be honest.
I get what
I was going to say. I took. I have a Redemptor, and I was going to turn it into a Death Company Dread. And I took the, that armor panel that sort of folds down and folds up. Like I took those off and put the Death Company Dread sarcophagus on it, and it looks more classical, which is really cool. So that's probably, I think it's just that little section at the front where they cover up the sarcophagus that kind of just a bit too.
Something to do with the legs as well, being a bit more rounded. There's just something weird.
I do get what you mean, though. Like I have the same thing. I think it is that front, like you said, the bit that hides the sarcophagus. Because I remember the first time I ever saw, I think it was Miggs from Iron Sleep. He did it where he'd taken that bit off, but taken all the connector bits off, so it was just the great long sarcophagus in the front, and that made it a lot better, or a lot more. I liked it a lot more, that version. But I get what you mean. Putting something with a helmet in or something like that will make it a lot better, I think. But I get what you mean. It's there is something about that Dread, the Redemptor, that I painted like 3 or 4 of them, and I do like them, but it's not quite. It doesn't hold the same weight as the classic box, not by a long shot. Or even the Contemptor, not even close.
Something wrong there, but that is very cool. That's one of my favorite Dreads in a while.
Yes, definitely. It's all the people that we mentioned in the show as well, by the way, guys, will all be linked onto the description as usual. So if you want to get hold of any of these brilliant painters, you can find it there. Amazing. So do we have a meme of the week this week, or are we skipping straight through?
No meme today.
No meme, that sucks. Guys, if you can think of any good Warhammer memes that you think we should put up, please do contact us on all our social medias, and we will we'll look through them.
Consider your memes.
Consider your memes. Let's talk about our main topic. So, Space Elves. We put this episode together because, obviously, for anyone that hasn't been living under a rock lately, Space Elves have been getting a lot of love. So we thought, what a perfect opportunity to delve a little bit into the history of Space Elves, of our relationship with Space Elves, because a lot of us have been sort of in love with them for a very long time. I'm looking at Andy specifically for this. So we thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about them in its entirety and see what we think about the new miniatures, because they're amazing. Right. So Space Elves are new. They are getting some love. That artwork is incredible. Guys, what do we think of them finally getting new range?
Love it.
Matt.
Yeah, they've got a proper glow up, haven't they? Just every single miniature that's come out has just been wicked. The new farmers, the Guardians, the new sort of warlock people.
Yeah,
so good. I love the new Dire Avengers as well. Like the new face masks on them, like with the proper like Jez Goodwin sketches.
Dark Reapers, Matthew. Dark Reapers. I'll correct you all.
What did I say?
You said Dire Avengers.
Dire Avengers. Oh no, Dark Reapers.
Oh
dear.
I feel like master now, Rickon. It's somebody.
I know, yeah. If you're our fluff master, then we need to discuss that. I think in a Cult of Paint meeting.
I have always felt that Space Marines are Games Workshop, right? They're the face of it, the premier thing. But I always felt Eldar were like, I don't know, maybe more unique, or just at least a really special thing Games Workshop had. An IP, an amazing IP. And 10 years we haven't had many models. And I always found that so strange because, I don't know what you feel about them in terms of, like I just think they're one of the most interesting things Games Workshop has as an IP, and I just thought it was weird they weren't pushing them as like a premier army without the releases.
I do agree. I do think that they are, after Space Marines, potentially the most recognizable Games Workshop product or faction, shall we say. So I did think it was really strange that they didn't get love for such a very long time, especially because they've also been around since day dot, and they've always been such a fan favorite the whole way through. And when you see things that are fan favorites, like Marines, Chaos Space Marines, things like that, you tend to see that they will normally get a regular update, and it is quite strange that they would get updates in regards to rules, but from a miniatures perspective, there were some aspect warriors that are some of those models are 15 years old, 20 years old.
Old, well, if I collected them when I was 10 and it's still the same model,
the Warlocks were still that old monopose for ages.
Borderline perfect models, but metal is the only.
So it is quite. Yeah, it is quite strange that they didn't get an update. So why do we think now? What's changed?
I don't know, but I was just going to add. I think the other thing is, there's orcs are obviously huge, but orcs are not generic, but orcs are orcs, and Tyranids are basically like aliens, whatever. And I just felt Eldar were like one of the most unique things, like Jez Goodwin. Original concept. I just felt it was such a strong IP. So it did feel weird for years that they didn't do them, but they've done it now, and it's joyous. But I don't know. I guess they just prioritize stuff and things
like a technology thing. Like they knew if they maybe weren't quite as good as that they could maybe want to do them, and they knew if they did them say 5 years ago, they might not have been quite as good. But if they just left it a bit to catch up, they might have been better.
The Autark, which is like this artwork, the winged one, that's quite a few years old, and that's not dated at all. I actually kind of prefer it to the newer Autark. They did a lot of characters. It was very strange. You got a new Eldrad, spot on, knew this, knew that. So maybe it just didn't fit in their schedule, and they sort of came up with things like, we're going to do Sisters of Battle. That's more exciting. I don't know. And I don't know if you remember, but there was a Games Day. I think it was, I'm going to say 2009 or something like that. Maybe earlier. But they basically had a Jez Goodwin jet bike, an Eldar jet bike. And it was the one that we have now. But everyone's like, holy, we're getting this new jet bike. And it didn't come out for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. So I think they could sit on designs for ages, maybe. You just don't know.
Maybe just
but
maybe the Primaris just got, they took over, perhaps.
I mean, that's what I was annoyed about. Stop these Primaris. Give me more.
No more lieutenants.
These don't need redesigning. Yeah, these don't need to be redesigned. The design is perfect. We just need newer ones. Thank you, please. So there you go.
It is. Eldar always struck me as one of those. People who played them in a gaming setting were normally the very good gamers, or the people that knew how to game very well. They're not a particularly friendly. I mean, it might be wrong now. I haven't played for a long time, but my memory of Eldar was they were never a particularly friendly or easy faction to pick up and just play with. So, if you're a newbie like me, just picking them up and having a go with them wouldn't be very good in regards to your win to lose rate or enjoyability potentially.
They were very you had to get your spells and psychic right all the time on sort of in those editions 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. If you didn't do that, they were very squishy and
their synergy was really important.
Playing against them. I did my first ever tournament against the first ever tournament, and it was doubles. And me and my friend spent ages painting our army, and I'm up all night because we thought we won't be allowed in the tournament if we don't paint it. That's because we didn't know what tournaments were like, right? And the first army we played against was Eldar, and it was 3 colours minimum, and they were grey plastic with a dash of yellow, a dash of red, and a dash of blue on it. Literally 1, 2, 3 lines. And I just remember Eldrad casting guide on 2 falcons. I'll never forget it because they were Welsh and they were like, casting guide on falcon, it passes. And I remember just that phrase. He's, well, over how many turns? 5 turns. Did it twice a turn. So 10 times I heard that phrase, casting guide on falcon, and just destroyed us. First ever game in first tournament, absolutely ruined. And then they did the winners of the tournament, and it was them. So yeah, wow. I played the champions of that tournament. Despite that, I still love Eldar. But yeah, I just remember getting absolutely murked by them. So I think there's been periods where they've been really strong, but just like always, 40k, meta, they're strong for a bit, weak for a bit.
Yeah,
I think they're pretty good now, but they've always had, really powerful weapons, psychic powers. They've got a lot going for them, haven't they, game-wise? But who cares about that? It's all about the looks.
True. Which it does feel that Games Workshop are doing that a bit now. We've spoke about it, I think, before, that there was a period where it was like there's so many new things coming, and we were like, well, why are they not taking care of the older range? Whereas now, I think it feels that there's more of a balance. So like we saw all the Orcs get a brand new redo, which seemed to just appear and then disappear out of the blue. Like, oh, by the way, here's an entire new Orc range. See you later. Eldar are getting it as well. We all thought that Guard were going to get loads of new stuff, but
single sprue.
That did it. Single sprue, but we won't talk about how bitter I am about that yet. And then squats turning up out of the blue. So we'll see what happens with the squats. But I think it's really good that they are actually now going back to one of their key races with one of the best IPs. I agree, and actually showing them a little bit of love, which is good to see. So we're going to go through a few of the different new releases now. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the more historic versions of them and how they've changed and what we think about them. So what's our next slide, Matthew? Eldar Scouts.
And Scouts.
Danger Range. That's the OG.
The OG. Potentially one of the most iconic Eldar models, do we think?
Well, I think it must be personal, because for me, I never cared about them. So the top left ones were like the mid 2000 release, and I had an Eldar army in 2007, I think, and I just didn't bother with Rangers. I was like, meh, they're boring. The new ones, though, they're not a priority for me, but they're so good. And I think a running theme throughout this chat is you've got the Mark Gibbons artwork in the top right there, and it best resembles the new ones. And the whole thing with the new Eldar releases is I feel like the sculpting quality has finally caught up with those arts. And actually looking at all these generations of scouts, the design has always been perfect, because that artwork and the Jez Goodwin sketches were so bang on from the get-go. The design was there for Eldar. But now we're in a period where the model quality can be as good as those arts from way back in the 90s. I think that's proven in these 4 picks.
Yeah, definitely. I don't remember the original Eldar Scouts. That was before my time. The ones on the top left, they were how I would always see Rangers in my mind. But the new ones are almost perfect. Like, do you remember when was it Black Fortress was released a while ago, and there was an Eldar Ranger in it, and we were like, oh my god, imagine if they ever did a squad that looked like that. And they literally have, if not a little bit better.
Better, I think.
I think so.
I can't believe the face sculpts on the bottom right one with the binoculars. Like, it's got the half mask, but the face sculpts, they're unbelievably good. It's just, the design's always been there, but the quality of these new ones, man, those kits are going to last for years.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point of the kits. Is they've been around for 20 years, whereas they might be around for another 20 years or so. We don't know. But, they're going to hold up for such a long time, because they are the ones that I've seen. They are probably the best kits I've ever seen from Games Workshop.
Do you think that as time, this is quite a different subject, but as time goes on, the need for refreshing a kit will reduce, because obviously the standard that they can make has gone up, but that's got to slow down because there's only so perfect a miniature can be. I think, you know, every time a mini comes out, we're probably like, oh, how can it be any better? And they do improve themselves, but surely not that much more. So, you know, we've got things we'll talk about later, how these old kits are 20 years old. But yeah, will we ever see new Rangers ever again? Like, why would we need them ever again?
It's true. It's a really good point, because, you know, we've gone from sometimes some of our favorite units taking 15, 20 years for a release, and then this comes out. Like you said, like, will they ever need to do anything better than that? Like, and if they do, if they redo everything and everything gets done, because the pace that they're releasing new kits at the moment, like if they redo all the older ones, what will they do then?
I think the only way that they might be changed is if we consume Games Workshop products in a different way. I don't think. I know this is an episode, but yeah. I don't think we'll ever be downloading printable files from Games Workshop. Not for a long time. I don't want to do that, for the record. I want my perfect kit in a box. But I think that's the only way. Like, if we consume in a different way, we'd get them in the next 20 years.
These kits are going to be around for 10 years minimum. Like, yeah, there's going to be kids born now that when they're in the 15, 16, 18-year-olds, they're going to still have these kits about.
When my lad Richie's painting Eldar, I'll be like, I remember when those kits were released.
But will they feel out of date? Because, you know,
we don't know.
We've changed from traditional to digital. And obviously, so that quality doesn't go, because you can remake them, and you know, they're not going to get soft or anything like that, and the mold, stuff like that. So I just think that the rate of improvement in quality has to slow down, and that means they'll just last, right?
I think with the proportions now that they have, they're all you know, they're really well proportioned. They're going to feel new for a lot longer. I think that will also, So like the old, the sort of previous Rangers, you know, they are much shorter, they're stockier, they feel really out of date just from the look of them. But you can see the new Rangers and all the new Eldar stuff, you know, 15 years time, I can't see it being any different really.
Because the Wraith Guard is like coming up 10 years old, I think. Yeah. Is that about 2015? Anyway, like the Wraith Guard kit's been out ages, and I just built them last week, and they could be brand new. Like they're a static-ish model, because they have to be static. They're a Wraith Guard. Yeah, they don't need changing, and they're almost a decade old. So there's definitely some kits that are coming up to a decade, and when I build them, I'm like, this still feels good. The Wraith Lord, it's a bit old. That's a bit feeling, because you can't pose it.
True. But the actual quality of it, though, is still brilliant.
Yeah. See, I feel like a lot of kits coming out now are just going to last. I mean, Sisters of Battle, like, will they ever get redone? Like, seriously. I mean,
it was 20-something years before metal to plastic, so, you know, give it another 20 years.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, what will the next one do? Maybe they'll move of their own accord.
Yeah, if we get new Rangers and we're all still alive, we'll have I don't know.
Have to play this one back.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, brilliant. What else have we got? What's next?
A look back.
So yeah, this is a throwback to the original Falcon. Well, the original is still the current model, isn't it? So this actually leads on quite nicely from what we've been saying in regards to what gets an update and what doesn't. So we know that all those models that we're going to go through a lot of them. We've already just spoken about the Rangers. They've got an update from their original incarnation. One thing that when we found out that Eldar were coming, it's the first thing that I remember me and you talking about. It's like, what would we love to see redone? Because we had no idea it was going to be such a release. We thought maybe we'd get some more Aspect Warriors and then that'd be it. But I said Falcon. Well, Wave Serpent, same thing, because I wanted a new version of it. But it is super cool that they still use the same one in some respects. I think. I do think it needs an update though.
Here's one for you. Going on from our earlier discussion. Now, it's sad there isn't a new Falcon, but what if it was got the box knot treatment and it was not very good?
Got a bit goofy.
You know, I think it's what I said at the start is the design for Eldar was perfect from the get-go. Original sketch, perfect. You've nailed it. And that's the problem with the Falcon. And I would love to be a fly on the wall and listen to what they did in the meetings or whatever. Should we redo the Falcon? I don't know if they said that, but I would love to know, because the design is so perfect. For me, it just needs to be crisper, because you get it and the plastic's like really rounded, and even though it's plastic, it still feels like it needs a bit of sanding. It's just like the quality.
Yeah. A bit more fudgy.
But the design, I just couldn't really be any better, to be honest. It's still the best looking tank. It's much better than the Gravity Primaris tank. It smashes it, in my opinion.
I know everything in the hobby is kind of over the years got a bit of scale creep to it, whereas I think this is one of the things that now kind of suffers from that a little bit.
Agreed.
In its like, if you put 10 Marines next to a Rhino, obviously it's impossible and all that. I get, but I don't know, especially because I think you've seen things that are almost what this would look like. So some of the Forge World flyers, like the Lynx, not the Lynx, which is the is it that one, the intermediary size one?
Yeah,
that for me is the kind of size that I would like to see them. Like if they did that, then that'd be, I would go for it straight away.
I mean, you could use Lynx as Falcons. I think I totally agree with you. I think just a little bit bigger, like 20%, crisp, brand new, weapon options, blah blah blah. Just a little bit of an update would be amazing. But maybe in terms of investment for money, they're like, well, we can only do this much of Eldar. We've got to do all the aspect warriors, and that is more important because we have nailed this design. It could be crisper. Could be crisper, but you can
people still do amazing things with them even after all this time. So it's not I get what you're saying. It's not imperative that they change it because it is still such an incredible mini and it's lasted such a long time.
I mean, I'm super excited to paint mine. I'm going to do 2 Vipers and 1 Falcon, and I'm really excited to do it.
I was just going to say, I really want that free up. I'm just the size of it.
Yeah, I'd quite like the free up.
I think we should, we can't not mention, it's pretty obvious from the slide, but every single time it blows my mind that this is made of basically wood and green stuff. Like, it's just crazy compared to what we have now, our miniatures now.
Bottom right. I mean, that's literally how they got it into the mold. They just basically traced the free up with a down scaling arm, just tracing over the surface of it and drilling in the other mold. That's literally how it was worked.
That's nuts.
That is nuts. Slightly off topic, Vinny, we will make sure that somebody gets to you about this weekend for your class. I'm assuming that's what it is. We'll make sure Stilo or somebody is in touch with you as soon as possible. Awesome. What we got next?
So next, one of the latest.
The Avatar. Now, I love this new one. And also, I never collected Eldar back when there was the old one, so I have absolutely zero sentimental value on the old ones. The new one is absolutely massive and brutal, and I love the fact that it comes with options. Not so thrilled about the no helmet version. I don't particularly like it, but I think it's incredible. I think it's one of the best miniatures that Games Workshop has released in a very, very long time.
Bold statement. I've got all 3 of these and the Forge World one. The metal one is terrible. It's unbelievable. I mean, nobody used that metal one. Everyone bought the Forge World one, which was fantastic. Actually, I love Darren's paint job. I think he did the box art for it or something like that back in the day. But that still looks perfect, to be honest. But this plastic one, it's brilliant. I built mine, and it's pretty much spot on, isn't it? Would I prefer a different suppose. Maybe, but no, it's grand.
I'll say the Forge World one it's not actually that old, like in comparison to the metal one.
Is it 15 years old, the Forge World one?
Something around that, but like the metal one's like 90s.
Oh yeah. There's a good intermediary like the Forge World one, right? Maybe that's why they didn't get around to it, because they had that half decent one. But if you disregard the Forge World one, the glow up between these three is mental. That the first one, I was telling Rich that it's like Guardian size. I remember getting it as a kid, being like, "What the hell is this?" I never painted the first one. Painted the second one a few times, and the arms fell off every day because it's hold up like that, and you just got a tiny bit of glue, and it would just die. That sword arm. But yeah, this that new one. Like I said earlier, you could compare the art, which is really old, and the model, the latest model, has finally caught up with that, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think
someone was saying 91. I'm assuming that's when the metal one was released.
Something like that.
Great.
I was gonna say, like with all these new Eldar ranges, they are sticking quite close to the art, more so than previous sort of releases, which is really cool.
I think that hits my nostalgic side nicely. I don't want to down talk Primaris too much, but I don't really like the new tanks. I think the Land Raider was spot on. I don't like the Grav tanks. The Dreadnought, prefer the old Dreadnoughts. Just prefer that. But these are true to the original art. I was looking at that artwork when I was 10 years old, and then here as an old man, get a perfect model. It's great.
It's quite interesting, actually, like how much nostalgia plays a part in the decisions that we make and around the hobby that we do. You know, there are so many.
All of it.
Yeah, there's so many miniatures companies out there, and I don't paint any of them. All I paint is Games Workshop because it holds that nostalgia fix for me. Like, if I found a new one that I started and I really liked it, I'd probably really like it, but I still probably wouldn't like it as much as I like the Games Workshop stuff.
No, you grab it and it's ingrained in you, and half of it. Yeah. You know, I'm open to new stuff as are both of you, but if you get into this stuff when you're kids, you're just that's it for life. Like when I was a kid, I lived way in the middle of the countryside, and I spent all my time in the woods. And then when I discovered Warhammer, I loved the Wood Elves, and that's the reason I like Wood Elves, because I spent all that time as a kid. And then 25 years later, they're still my favorite faction, and it's never going to change because my opinion was formed as a kid, and reliving that nostalgic stuff kind of overtakes most things, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, not just Games Workshop stuff though. Like when I paint my historical things, I remember building and painting historical things with my dad when I was a kid. So when I do it now, I still get that same nostalgic buzz from that. But that's probably a completely different episode that we can probably talk about quite a long time for. I would love to see somebody use, because the new rules for I don't know if anyone watched the battle report on Warhammer Plus, but the new rules for that avatar are filthy. I would love to see someone use that original one in the game today, but use the new rules. That would just be fun.
It's too tiny.
All right, that's great. I love it. I don't know why I'm getting really into the idea of a bit of old hammer. I don't know what's wrong with me.
You like a bit of mid hammer.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm mid hammer. I'm mid hammer. You're old hammer.
I really want to do because I probably will never do a 40k Marine army again. I can't see myself ever doing that unless they bring out a Red Scorpions transfer sheet. But yeah, I just can't see myself doing that. I see myself doing Sons of Horus Marines, not really much else. But for some reason, I just want to do some 90s metal Ultramarines, like that. I would do. So
I want to do a mid hammer. I want to do a mid hammer kill team at some point when something gets released that there's a really good old equivalent for. I would like to do that because 6 or 7 old miniatures, that'd be fun.
Maybe that's what I should do, because like can't see myself sitting through a whole army of stuff, but maybe it would be cool to do like some Tiddler Marines. That'd be super fun.
Spiky Dude just said, so being short and fat explains why I've always loved dwarfs.
I'm the opposite, mate. Like, I'd stay away from the dwarves. I like Eldar and I like elves because it's what I want to be, not what I am. Tall and slender. That's my armies, not myself. Anyway, change topic.
Yeah, what we got next? What's next on the list?
Next was new Warlocks.
Yes.
That artwork on the top right, that Warlocks that I've got like a fur thingy on, it's just perfect.
That's why I've done my conversion. It's so good.
Perfection.
Yes.
Perfect.
I don't know. I'm gonna be saying the same things over and over again, but the design was perfect from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those sketches are so cool, and they're not. The new ones aren't exactly like that, but they didn't need to come up with new designs. It's really amazing, and it's cool. Again, like, I talk about Darren quite a lot because I think he's quite. He's done a lot of iconic Eldar stuff. Matt was saying the other day, you think of a lot of the Eldar stuff, and there's been various phases where Darren's done a bunch of iconic things, but he's got his old way army, which is obviously in like current White Dwarfs and stuff. But he did those metal Warlocks, and they still look brilliant.
Oh, it's still amazing, yeah.
Yeah, so the design was just a bit metal and all shonky.
Yeah, this has been one of the better, like, out of all the releases. I don't know why, this kind of felt like it snuck under the radar a little bit when we found out the new Eldar were coming. It was just there one day. Yeah,
the whole range of Warlocks.
Yeah, and I think they're amazing. I love the fact you get two in the kit and that you can do different poses and the different weapons and stuff. And they're such like we said, it's such a throwback to that original artwork. I think they're amazing. It's hard doing this episode because I'm desperately trying to think of reasons not to start painting some Eldar.
Well, I'll give you one. I'm doing them. Piss off. I want to play against someone who's not got Eldar. So you need to be doing your Chouse men. So
that's
easy. If I sack it off, then you're allowed. But
I'm allowed.
Unless you do an Iandan force and we do doubles, that would be me all with jet bikes, you all with Wraith. I would enjoy that a lot, so I will allow you to do that.
Do you know what, one of the things that we haven't actually mentioned about the miniatures yet is, and it's a bit of a weird subject, and again, something that I think we've spoken about before, and that could be its own episode, is what level do you paint them to, and army painting versus single miniature painting, because one of the things that I would find difficult with an Eldar army is I would want every single one of them to look like that on the bottom right of that slide. I'd want them all to be perfect. And inevitably, well, for one, I'm me, so that's never going to happen. I'll change armies 6 times in the time it would take me to do that. And 2, the time that would take would be bonkers.
It's something that we talk with each other all the time. It's quite crippling. And I'm going through that at the moment because I'm building my Eldar army so I can dive into it when I finish my current project. And I've been chatting to you every day, basically, being like, what colour scheme, this and that. And I am going to do same hand. That's settled on that. And it is pretty crippling because I love them because how they look in this box art. And for me, particularly the left one, because it's got the purple plume and the blue sword. I love everything about that. And a lot of it is to do with the quality that it's painted. And I can't match the quality of that heavy metal job. That is just never going to happen. So, yeah, managing expectations is very difficult for me because of how much I love Eldar. But I think I've just got to push through and get an Eldar army on the table. There's definitely a balance because at one point I was like, I'll just smash them out in 10 minutes. And that's wrong. I shouldn't do that. I need... Because, once I've done 20 Guardians, I've done 20 Guardians, need to take my time on them, but try not to be too hard on myself and just have the army and it'll look cool. But this release for me was probably the biggest sort of pleasant surprise because like Guardians, I was like, they're perfect. I just didn't expect to see a pair of Warlocks as a kit, and I was like, wow, they're good. They are very good.
I have these two on my table at the moment, and it's quite like, I know I'm going to paint them all way, but I'm just like managing the expectations of how they're going to look is difficult.
Yeah. I don't know. Darren's Eldar army is potentially perfect because it's not massive, but every unit is painted to such a good quality that if I was to do it, I don't know. I just don't think I could. That's the problem. Me and you said like a while ago, like, when they drop new Eldar, that's it. I'm all in. I'm stopping everything that I'm doing, and I'm doing that. But I can't because it's improbable for me to think that I could paint them to the level that I would want them. So yeah, I mean, there's no answer to that. Maybe I'm just never going to paint them, or maybe I'll paint one or two models from the range rather than an army and take that as a win for one.
I've changed. These would probably be the only two that I paint from the new range.
I've changed my mindset on it, and I need to, what 40k armies am I going to do? Probably not many, and I think slowly chipping away at this army is the way to go. And time goes so quick. If I do a unit or two a year, that's fine. I just need to get out of my head. It needs to be done now. It needs to be for games now. It's just like, I'm always going to love Eldar, right? That's set in stone now, as we said, 20 years on, still my favorite 40k faction. And we said these are going to be current forever. So just chip away at it. So I don't know if anyone else feels the same as that, but yeah, it's horrible when you like an army so much that you have this vision, and we hear terms like analysis paralysis and all that stuff, but it can be quite crippling if you really care about this hobby and you want it to look so good. It's disappointing when it doesn't, but I'm just keep staring at this box art of these miniatures, and I'm excited to paint these. And do you know what? If I spend a month on these instead of 2 weeks, that's the difference. Like a little bit of extra time, because they last forever. I think I did my Sylvaneth army 3 years ago now, and it's still absolutely grand. And I do think it's worth putting in the time, because if you look after your miniatures, they go in a case. You can play games and they still look great 5 years on, My Heresy army I did in 2015, I don't own anymore. Still looks good, 7 years old. That's mental.
I do get what you mean, though. I think the reason I haven't done the Eldar, I haven't even thought about remotely starting them, is I don't think I could ever do them to how I see them in my head, and that's stopping me from doing it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it just means it's one more thing that I haven't butterflied over to, which is always a good thing for me. But and also,
I think you nailed that, Iandan. You did. I thought that was spot on. Just saying.
Yeah, did you know that? The thing is, the new ones are incredible, but that was never necessarily the stuff that I wanted to add. I wanted all of mine to be wraith because I love the fluff behind them, and all those things have been around for such a long time that if I wanted to do it,
1,000 points of wraith.
True.
When I've done mine, you should do 1,000 points of Iandan, because if we went to an event, doubles, 1,000 points of jet bikes in red, 1,000 points of wraith in yellow, we would just have a great time because we'd be chuffed with ourselves. So, just saying.
Cool. Oh God! Right, next. What's next before I agree to this? The farmers. New farmers. The Guardian, the plastic Storm Guardian kit with the metal upgrade was the first box of models that I bought from Games Workshop.
Ever.
Yep.
What year? You walked into Games Workshop?
I walked into Games Workshop as a teenager. I was in sixth form, so I must have been, maybe before sixth form. I think I was about 15, 16. They'd just been released because it was when the 13th Crusade narrative was happening. So they just released the Wolfen. Yeah, they just released the Wolfen, the Cadians, and the Storm Guardians. And I painted them all the way, and it was glorious.
Yeah, that was a great little blister, wasn't it? Adding them in there, Storm Guardians. That's very cool. Didn't know that was your first kit. I thought your first kit was like I think Chaos Marines or Imperial Guard Sentinel. I thought that was your first kit.
No, my first ever models was the Dark Angels characters. You know, the veterans with the all metal cloaks. That was the first thing I ever bought from Games Workshop. But I saved up, and my first ever box was a box of Guardians, and I was so stoked. I was like, "Oh my god, you get so many of these miniatures!" And I painted them with like Humbrol paints and didn't have any rattle cans.
I did Humbrol, yeah. I did. I used to paint like ships, like planes and that. And I used to do Humbrol enamels. Man, they were glossy. You could see your face in it. And then, when I got Warhammer, it was, Humbrol enamels. God, they looked so bad. Anyway, they don't know how lucky they've got these. All the YouTubes and all that stuff.
The new ones are so good. I really want to paint one. I don't necessarily want to paint loads of them. That was always a drawback for me for Eldar as well. However much I love the aesthetic of the Guardians and the fluff, I love that. I've never necessarily wanted lots of them.
I'd like to paint
they never did.
Guardian, actually.
Yeah.
Like Max's Ulthway one, I was like, oh, so good, just doing one Guardian.
I want to paint one Guardian as well. Just the one, there's one that's like running. I think it's the one on the top right.
I like the most static one possible, to be honest. That I built one. I built one just gun looking forward like that, head down a bit, and I was just like, yeah. So I want to do
perfection.
Really is.
But this is probably one of the more subtle glow ups that we've had. If you look at it comparative to a lot of the other ones that we've looked at so far, they are a bit more chill. It's just positioning them a little bit, getting the size of the scale of them just right. They didn't need a lot from the old ones, because I remember when we talked about what we said we'd like new Guardians, but the old ones were never bad. They've just shown their age a little bit, I think.
Well, they stopped me starting Eldar because if you don't love your base troop, it's very difficult to do an army. Yeah. And for me, they were bad. I think the biggest the faces in the new kit, you get so many bear heads. The half mask heads are so cool. You get 10 Storm Guardian heads. It's just unbelievable. Somebody said to me when the kit came out, they didn't need new Guardians. And I was like, shut up, you moron. This is the best thing to happen to Eldar, because now I can start. Because, the jet bikes have been out for years and they were perfect. Wraith have been out perfect. But if you can't get through your core troop and like it, going, I have to do these core troops, then it sucks. But I want to be really proud of my Guardians because the kit is worth spending the time on now. So same thing again. Design was there, needed a refresh. And this does kind of show maybe what they could do with the Falcon, because just making it crisper, newer, couple more options is so nice.
It's interesting that
perfect.
The Jez Goodwin art from 2004 is closer to the new models than it is the old models.
Is that proportions?
Yeah.
Because the difference is proportions and sharpness.
Yeah.
And, they've never drawn them with goofy, wide legs. Like, they've never like that. But they're starting to do that. And I think with things like Primaris, they made them bigger and they had to justify it by doing a new mark and write that law to be like bigger Marines, and not just say, hey, the old scale isn't great. We're going to make the scale different. Sorry, the old one's going to look bad for a bit. They had to do all that. But with they don't need to do that with Eldar. They're supposed to be tall and slender, and they're not massively different. But they're just so much better, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's kind of a reason why they needed to do the base units as well, because they would have looked so weird. Like if they hadn't brought out new Guardians and just done Dark Reapers and the Banshees and the Rangers, it just would have looked totally weird.
Yeah, it would have.
I'm kicking myself in a way because the Banshees came out, didn't touch them. Wraith, there was so much to do in this army that I could have been getting on with. Just added the Guardians in. I didn't have the drive to do the Eldar because you didn't have this core troop. What I should have done is paid attention to Darren painting his Eldar army, knowing he's a sculptor, and being like, he knows the new stuff's coming.
Probably knew you 5 years ago.
Well, that's it, right? Anyway, it's a good time to start. So, but the Guardians, I think, were not my favorite release because they're not that exciting, but the most important release for me because I felt I can start an Eldar army now, and I'm happy for the next 3 years. Really, I've got it'll take me that long to do it. So, go Guardians! Well done on the Guardians.
I think our next one is potentially the most contentious of the releases that we've had. Just want to skip through the old Dark Reapers. Now, what do we think of these when they came out? Because there was some mutterings on the internet that maybe they weren't what people were expecting. What do we think?
I really like them. I always did.
They're my least favorite aspect warrior.
Yeah.
I just prefer the others. They're brilliant. They're really cool. But I just prefer close combat stuff rather than stay at the back shooty. I had them in my old army. And the new ones, it's funny because, people didn't like the faces. And I do kind of get it. They're not super evil looking, but they are, true to the older arts. I think it's because they're missing this brow part, right? It's back. And I think without that on the sketch, it changes it a little bit. I've built them and they're going in my army. They're going to be one of the first units I've painted. And they come with 5 bear heads, and they've got the half mask, which I think is one of the coolest aesthetics because you can paint the eyes and a bit of skin, but you've got that mask to make them feel a bit sci-fi. So I think I'm really happy with this kit. I stuck the 5 bear heads on, and it breaks up the black because I've got some skin on there. So I can see why people don't love the face, but it's a brilliant kit, and I'm no complaints from me.
I can see what you mean as well. For me, they didn't look quite as evil as potentially as I wanted them to, but they look exactly like the artwork, and they do look like a real reimagining of the old one. So I don't know where people thought that they were going to go. It's not like if you look at all the other stuff that's been released, then they copied it and just updated it. Whereas what I think exactly what they did with this, they didn't change anything. They just updated it, and I think they're amazing. They were always my favorite. They were always my favorite aspect, apart from Swooping Hawks.
It's very subtle. I think people went a bit overboard with why they didn't like it, and I think the reason they don't is so subtle. And I think it is because they don't have the cone head, the original, the point head, so it doesn't have this triangle part at the front, the separate segment. It goes straight. It's very round at the top. Looking at the sketch, the bodies are perfect. They're just like that. So it's just a very subtle thing, I think, with the head, and also to do with how, angled the eyes are. But I just think they're so close that a bit of paint, they're great,
It'd be really interesting to see someone sculpted that section in what it would look like.
Yeah. I mean, I thought about using some different heads for a bit, but then I just thought the bear heads are so cool. I'll do 5 of them with the heads it comes with, and that's just easy and brilliant. But I think if you look at the top right miniature, that's the difference, is that little section, and I think that's kind of it. That's it for me.
What a great kit.
Is there any more slides?
There is
one more. This is not new, but still new.
Newish.
For me,
adjacent.
Best kit. I think this is the best kit, to be honest.
Do you think?
Now, the Banshees were weird for me because when they came out, I wasn't like, yes, best thing ever. I was like, they're good. And over time and owning the kit, I appreciate them way more now. And I think if you look at the bottom left Banshee and the top right, they're my favorite too. They're so dynamic. Like the poses again match that artwork from Mark Gibbons on the left. Really dynamic, beautiful. They're just perfect. They're just absolutely amazing. I really want to paint that bottom left one as a single figure, but I'll do a unit of 5 now. But yeah, just a spot on kit. Absolutely amazing.
It was interesting because when did these come out? What, a year ago, 2 years ago?
It's like 4 or 5, I think.
Was it? Jesus.
4, I think.
I remember when they came out and we were all like, "Oh my god, a new Eldar coming! Is this it? Is this when they're going to release them?" And then they teased us by doing this, and then we had to wait a long time, and then we finally got the rest of them. But I agree that it shows that you said about like the models that are released now will still be brilliant in 10, 15 years time, because even though these are a few years old now comparative to the brand new stuff, you put them in a lineup, you can't tell they're still incredible.
It was a very weird drop. Like it just kind of came out of nowhere, which was
here's
very
James
bizarre
R as well.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Don't know how long they had Eldar designed for, because that jet bike was at Games Day, and then years later came out. Like I'll check when they first shown it and when it came out, but it was miles apart.
It was the chat saying. Sorry, chat just saying 2019 was when this was released. These Banshees.
Yeah. So 3 years.
They must have sculpted most of this at the same time. Like it wouldn't have made much sense to part it out.
No, exactly.
The design's there, isn't it? Like, you've got all things like the shirt design, sword design, armor, it's all there. So they probably don't need to do it at the same time, because all that look is really well established. So they could probably, go ahead and just crank it out anytime. But yeah, just all those dribs and drabs of characters. And then this unit was a bit of a wild card. And then, we're just silent for ages. So, but yeah, I hope that the pattern is Aspect Warrior, Phoenix Lord, and we get that, I don't know, every 6 months would be nice. So I'd love to get another Aspect Warrior this year.
What would you want?
Scorpions. No, Fire Dragons.
Fire Dragons.
Yeah. Fire Dragons.
Those old metal ones, no, they need to go away.
And how do you pronounce his name? Fugan? I think the Phoenix Fire Dragons, I love him. Although when Gareth Nicholas sculpted one, I was like, does this mean we're not getting one? Because your man worked in the design studio for a bit, so he'll have seen some stuff, and obviously he's under NDA, he's not going to say anything. But I think did he sculpt one because there's not one coming, or did he sculpt one because there is?
I think he said on his post with his Fugan, it was kind of his entry test. He sculpted that for it.
Right.
Interesting. Anyway, it just makes you think, doesn't it? Like, he knows some stuff probably.
They're probably sitting there already finished on the servers, just waiting to be made.
Oh, I mean, they're probably painted somewhere, like on someone's shelf in heavy metal. Like, I'd love to have a little walk around. I want to see warp spiders.
Nah.
Yeah. Warp spiders.
They've got no Phoenix Lord, mate. No Phoenix Lord. Will they do a Phoenix Lord?
I don't know what the fluff is on that. I don't think is there one.
The Mega Spider.
Yeah, the Mega Spider. I want to see spiders and striking scorpions.
You like swooping orcs, don't you?
I do. I want to see all of them, but Striking Scorpions, ever since I read that out of the 40k Eldar books, where one of them is about a guy becoming a Striking Scorpion and then becoming an Exarch, I want to see Striking Scorpions.
It's so cool. The metal Striking Scorpion Exarch is one of my favourite sculpts. It's better than the Phoenix Lord. Obviously, the Phoenix Lord's way older, but it's just Predator. But that claw, the dreads, it's just like yes.
The mandible blasters.
Oh, they're so good. Yeah, I think. Right, what are you saying?
No, go on. You go.
I'm saying what I hope is I get a chunk of Eldar done, and I would just love every year, just be like, here's a Phoenix Lord, and here's a new Aspect Warrior, and you don't need to paint it in the same colours. You can do a new colour, do some orange men, some blue men. I want to be in that position where I've got my Eldar army, and they just give me a Phoenix Lord and an Aspect to go with it every year. Then I'll be living my best life. But at the moment, I've done nothing.
Yeah. I was just about to say on that. So if you get your 1,000 points of Eldar finished, I will do 1,000 points of Wraith, and we will do a tournament. And I'm saying it on this so that it's actually documented that I've said it, so we have to do it.
We have to clip this part.
Only if I finish, no. Like, yeah, I think I'm the liability. I reckon if I had 1,000 points of Eldar done, then you would actually do it.
Fine. I could do that. Yeah,
I think it hinges on me. So,
so when you get 1,000 points done, so when you get 1,000 points finished, I'll start 1,000 points of Wraith, and then because I'll paint Chaos Space Marines until then.
All right, mate. Agree on that. So yeah, feel free to bitch at me in the comments if you don't see some Eldars from me. You can have at me. I don't read them, so go for it.
Definitely, it's been agreed. Right, perfect. Is that our last slide on our lovely Space Elf?
The last of the Space Elf miniatures.
Well done,
yeah. It's just, I think it's just really nice to see a faction that we all love and that one that's been around for a long time get a glow up. And what a glow up. I think for me, there's certain factions that are out there that I'm scared about when their glow up comes. Like, for instance, Khorne Berserkers, things like that. I am a little bit, in all honesty, a little bit worried about what Games Workshop will do with them in what direction they'll go. But this was I was very nervous when Eldar started coming out because I wanted them to be good so badly. And they're perfect. They haven't got it wrong in any way. In my opinion, I don't think they've got any of it wrong. There's nothing I would change. All I would ask is, please say that there's a Falcon coming.
Yeah, one day.
I think you'd be waiting another 10 years for that.
Potentially, it'd be worth it. Right, cool. So, what's next?
So, on to... Yep.
Okay, so, sorry, my slides have stopped working again, really helpfully. We're going on to Paint Cultist.
We do have the 2 pieces of art. Do we want to look at those?
Oh, sorry, yes. Absolutely. Artwork.
Buzz this quickly. So, some of the epic, iconic art.
Oh, well, it's been around for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
See, if I was going to do Eldar, obviously there's part of me that's really tempted to just go, right, I'm going to paint them black with white lids because it's really, really quick. And it's a really, really cool. Look at you shaking your head because all three are super cool, but they don't really fit with lots of Wraith, I don't think. But then, and obviously because I'm mid hammer, not old hammer, I don't really remember like the artwork on the left where everything is super, super bright. I don't really remember.
You're the right. That's your era.
Yeah, that's my era. A bit more Tron. But ever since seeing some of that artwork on the left where everything is super bright, bold colours, I'd be really tempted actually to just do some, because there was like Wraith lords that had like leopard print helmets and stuff like that, and I was like, actually, that is sick. I can really get on board with that idea.
I think you really nailed Iandan on that was great. That was something. It's a shame you butterflied on because you did that one Wraith guard. It was spot on. Yeah. But I've got a question, Matt. Are we doing our Eldar picks? Did we do that?
I can quickly add them in. I kind of did forget, but for 2 seconds and they will be in.
But yeah, I actually think I love these classic arts, but do you know what? The brand new Codex cover really gets me going. I think because it's same hand as well, but obviously same hand wasn't always the kind of poster Craftworld. I can't remember what was Bale Tan, the sort of one they really.
Bale Tan.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I did Bale Tan, and I did the Thorns with permanent marker, which was cool. Nice. But people are like, oh, you should do Bale Tan. I'm like, you don't know me. I've done them. I've done Oathway and I've done Bale Tan. So, same hand and Iandan was kind of the only 2 that I was picking between. But yeah, these are great arts. I've got that Codex on the left, which I look at frequently. But actually, I think I missed out a bit of the mid-hammery stuff with the one on the right. I think that's when I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't doing it then. The Codex after where you had the red and yellow Altark. I think that's the best Eldar art. It's just amazing. You got the striking scorpions in there, the Altark with the dreads. Oof, that gets me going.
I do love these two pieces because they are traditional, painted on boards, and I know who owns the originals, and I'm really jealous.
Yeah, I have them on my wall. No, they'd look. Maybe I should get something there behind me.
Should.
And,
You should look like me.
Speaking of Falcons we want to see updated, that was just one of the cool ones.
Oh, seeing that makes me go, I want Black Eldar.
Yes.
That is unreal, isn't it, Pat? I mean, that's how old is that art? Because I remember that coming
99, 98, 99.
That art.
Yeah, and it's traditional as well. That's painted.
Wow.
So
that is the best ship design, isn't it? That is the best ship design. That is so good.
It's actually there's like a work in progress photo of it in the White Dwarf issue that has the Falcon article. So it's pretty cool to see. Wow. So if you want to see that, that's White Dwarf 215. So
do you know what? I had the White Dwarf with this on the front, I'm sure, and that's one of those things. Yeah, I remember it, and that's one of those things like, why did I throw that away? I think I've got 215, which is it an Ultramarine biker on the front? Anyway, I've still got that one. I'll dish it out later.
But
just perfect.
Yeah,
that's what you want a Falcon to be.
I want Black Eldar with red bases.
Don't do it. So did we?
I've got them in now. Yeah. I don't think you had one, Rich. Did you?
Rich?
No, I didn't.
No. So
I stepped out of this one.
So up first is this was yours, Andy.
Yeah. So we obviously did normal picks of the week, but we also thought we'd do a little pick of what are our favourite Eldar models ever. And this is from Darren, and I think this is iconic because it's quite old and it still doesn't really get much better than this, does it? Like, I think I'd love to be able to paint something like this, and even the conversion is pretty mind-blowing. I remember working out how he did it, and I still couldn't do it because the head crest is a little scenery piece you get with Dire Avengers.
Yeah.
And then he's
cut that, clever.
Put it on a helmet, and then green stuffed and add the eye. And I remember trying it. I remember cutting off the bit and just like gluing it on a helmet, and it was like wonky and just utter crap. And I think, I might not be right, but I think he sanded down the cloak because there's that detail he's painted on there, I think sculpted on, but I think he sanded it and freehanded it the same, but that blue with non-metallic gold. I think this is one of those minis where at the time I got into the hobby and I sort of couldn't believe how it was done. And I still look at it now years later and think, yeah, I wish I could just replicate that. It's just, this sculpt's amazing, conversion's amazing, paint's perfect.
This is great.
The only thing is that plinth needs to be black.
I was gonna say. I was like, what is that? It looks like he's got the knockers from like an auctioneer. Dum, 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 dum. Sold.
The gavel.
Sorry, Darren. If you ever watch this, it's the perfect miniature, perfect base.
That plinth sorted, it better not be glued down.
Yeah.
Just paint it black. Even if you just paint it black. Christ.
Yeah,
it's a good pick, mate. It's really, really good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't think they'll redo this character. It kind of shows how it is pretty spot on. I can't believe it's a metal model as well, and it's painted that well. Like, I don't know, it just scares the Jesus out of me then.
So many like surface pitting on metal models. It's just like, no, I don't want to touch them.
And all that, like, I'm just looking at that knee pad and thinking how amazing like the painting on it is, and just thinking there's metal underneath that bumpy metal. So,
maybe it's the green stuff wash that sorts it out.
I don't know. Was that even... Anyway,
what What did you pick, Matt?
I picked a more sort of recent one. I picked Sopa's Farseer.
I agree. That was for me. That was that's one for me as well.
It's such a good conversion. Just changing those legs out for the I think it's the solitaire, the Harlequin solitaire legs.
It is. Yeah.
It just changes that model so much. It's just
this for me was one of those models. One, I wish I owned it because it's one of the I think it is an iconic Eldar piece now because it's just such a spot on modern vision of Eldar. The color scheme is obviously right up my street. And it's just the perfect example of Eldar, isn't it? I think everything from the glowing rune in the hand that's added, the micro beads with the glow, it's just everything about it is things I love. It is so good. But I wish I did it.
It's it was, what was it? It was Golden Demon 40k, wasn't it?
It was a 2016 open day.
Of the Imperium. Enemies of the Imperium.
That was it. If I was going to pick one, it'd be 2E's Wraith Lord. Yeah, that'd be mine. Definitely.
Did Henry pick?
No.
No, just me and Matt then. Well, there's some two bangers there. You got a Darren Lapham and a David Soper. You can't be going too far wrong.
No.
I think Dave Colwell's Jane Czar should get a shout out as a modern style of painting and amazing things. So.
I always forget Jane Czar's a thing, but she's such a great model.
Yeah, I wasn't blown away when it came out, and now I'm really looking forward to painting it, and I appreciate it more. It's pretty fantastic. So, yeah, that's it, I reckon.
Awesome. Very, very cool.
Well, that is everything.
Right, so this is our regular segment in the show where we take a look at what it is you guys have been painting. So we use the hashtag #PaintCultist for all of our work, and it's brilliant to see how big this has got and all the thousands and thousands of different people that are using Paint Cultist as a tag. So please do that, and we feature them on the show every week. We have no idea what they are. Henry picks them. He's not here, so we're going to see what he's picked for us.
There's nearly,
Matt,
I was going to say, there's nearly 10,000 tags now on the Paint Cultist. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
It's getting up there. So first up is
a
skink.
Should have had all skinks on the last step, shouldn't we?
No, they would cause too much drama.
Yeah, it's true. I'm Rich. How much do you hate this in game?
Lots. Little shit.
So Matt, we play this most weeks, and I use these guys, right? And basically, he only hits on a 6. So the chances of you getting it isn't that great. But if you do hit them, you can't move, so you might not cause any damage. No. But you only get basically one move a turn in Underworld. So if you stop someone important from moving, it's such a big deal. Yeah. So I'm like, don't hurt you, but you can't move. And
bearing in mind,
people annoyed.
Bearing in mind, I play orcs most of the time, whereas if they don't move, they don't do anything.
Yeah.
So
can you only take one?
Just appear.
Yeah, I just, it makes me so happy when I'm like, cool, your war boss can't move. I'm just inside, I'm like this.
Yeah, it's very.
Are you only able to take one in a warband, or can you take 2?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's set. It's set. So you just get him. He gets 3 dice, but you need 1 6, and I want that hit, and all I want is just a poison dart and slow you down, and it's so satisfying.
It's a 50% chance on 3 dice.
It's pretty good. He does me well. He disappears as well and reappears on the battlefield. It's just it's cool that it's such a, I don't know, like people don't talk about it a lot. It's this quite unimposing model, right? But it's so cool looking. It's really fun in the game. It's just a little understated, brilliant figure. So there you go.
I love the little poisonous frog with the attached to his hip with the darts stuck in it. It's very cool.
Yeah. It's nice to see that's a really good, like a really bright color as well. Like
Yeah.
most of the time, it's done quite sort of muted, but this is really cool.
Yeah, really good paint job.
Top choice.
Yeah.
So
what's next?
Next up is
that's cool.
Good sculpt. I've seen a lot of good versions of it. It seems to be attracting the good people, the good painters.
Yeah, that looks like me if I was an orc, just way buffer.
Yeah, it's similar. I've seen lots of models with that look.
Some really nice tones in the skin on that. Really got that done well. I like that.
That's a really nice green. Yeah, it's not your traditional sort of super bright green. It's got a lovely mid tone in it.
Yeah, that's.
I like the leather a lot on the pad.
So Hera models, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very good. What's next?
Next up is it's quite an old one.
That is an old one. Wow. Wasn't this a Games Day?
This was a Golden Demon winner from like 2008, I think.
Really?
The model it wasn't the model itself from a Games Day, though. Wasn't it like the year that Ogres dropped? They did the female ogre for a Games Day model. I might be making this up.
Here for this one, like, only Henry would pick this.
Yeah, I was just like, that's interesting.
I love it. I think it's great. I loved that model when it came out. I thought it was hilarious.
It's a really good paint job. Like the face, the leopard print. That's all like really hard to do. For me personally, I'm not sure I could spend that much time on that sculpt. But I mean, it's fun, and the painting's amazing. But that's not a model I want to paint.
I didn't even realise that it had stockings on until I seen this version of it.
This is like the sort of thing when Sunday morning you send us a picture in the chat of who you were having a drink with on Saturday night.
Very true. Yeah.
What's been up to again?
Yeah. I think we saw her last weekend. Anyway, that's a very, very good paint job on a very, very old model. Well done, whoever that was.
So,
and next this is cool.
Very cool.
Mean, I like it. Evil, undead, always a fan.
It's proper grim, isn't it? Like the face is really freaking me out a bit.
Yeah.
It's another Henry pick, I think.
Yeah, what model is that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I feel Henry's here in spirit with these picks because.
He is.
I like. It's good to know his taste right now.
Oh, hang on. Let me just quickly find out what model it is because I'm interested to know. It is it's a print from Minion Mesa. So it's 75 mil.
Wow. Yeah, cool.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Someone just asked in the chat, are they sculpted or are the fishnets free-handed? I think they are sculpted, yeah.
Yeah, on those models they are.
Fishnet.
Not a question for me, then.
That's really cool. Good work. Yeah, what we got?
So next up is...
That is awesome.
Oh, that's great.
This is Hera as well, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not my favourite. Like, it's not as good as the original Hera Orc Academic. But I love an academic bust.
I prefer this one.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I don't know why.
This paint job is amazing, but I prefer the original sculpt.
I just that the blue and orange is perfect in my opinion, as I'm sure you're aware, Drew. But I love it. And I love the white. Yeah, the white breaking it up is amazing as well.
I love it when they do like the tribal sort of markings on things. It's so cool.
Yeah, man.
That looks like a really fun project. Like, you've got X amount of time to do it. I want to do it orange. I want to do this war paint. Yeah, that looks like the perfect sort of palette cleanser or first bust. It's like, they're so cool, these academic busts. We always say they are, but they've not been around forever. Busts used to be the super intimidating thing, and I think this is such a cool way of, doing your first model that isn't Games Workshop or whatever. So yeah, that's really, really nice.
Nathaniel Cooper, who I think painted the last one we just showed, the model is called Famine from Great Grimoire. What an idiot. Yeah, that was really good. Really well done. Barber Paints. What's next?
Speaking of Eldar.
Had to be one, right?
With the cat?
Had to be one. With the cat. Every Eldar model has a cat now. Why do they all suddenly have cat pets?
I started the trend, mate.
Yeah.
Trendsetter.
Yeah, obviously this is perfect. It's same hand. It's Eldar. It's a little cat. It's the one. Yeah, love that. I've already been peeping at this and loving it. So that is superb.
I like the tribal tattoo sort of thing on the helmet.
Yeah, and the spots on the cat. That's cool too.
Yeah.
Great model. Great work. Excellent. Any more?
So last one, and you'll probably recognise it.
Hey!
Yeah. I won't dive into too much, but when you make a model in your company, you're like terrified that one person's going to buy it, and then you don't know if anyone's going to paint it. And this is definitely the best part of doing a miniature range. And this is such a good version. I think that backdrop's incredible. And it makes me really proud of this miniature. And I need to paint my own. But yeah, well done. I'm pretty sure this person's done a lot of Ultramarines and a lot of Games Workshop stuff. So really cool that he's doing something not Games Workshop and it's one of ours. And what a banging job he's done of that background. Also, I've never seen a backdrop that style, like not necessarily the style, but like the yellow tree. I think that's quite a cool idea. So
I think that's kind of like the yellow tree for like the elf kind of stuff. Is you have the two trees like in the Tolkien fiction. It's quite cool. I love how they've gone into the bottom right foot. The cloth kind of matches into the background a bit, which is really cool.
It's really really good palette actually. Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. I'd have liked that as a box art for this mini. To be honest, that would be really cool.
Amazing.
What a high note to end on.
Great pick to end on.
And that's
the last of our paint cultists. Amazing. Brilliant.
Hey, we almost ran on time without Stilo. Well done, Rick.
Almost. Not bad. We're getting there. So, guys, if you want to contact us about anything, if you want to send us some memes, if you want to get in contact with us about any of the courses or anything that we're doing, or any you just want to chat to us, you can catch up with us on all of our usual social medias. They're all there. Thank you very much, chat, for all of your input again. Some great knowledge. The chat were on fire today with dates. Absolutely killed it. Everything we threw out there, killed it with a date. So well done for that, and for keeping us company, and for coming along and giving us a listen. So that's the episode for today. Thank you, chaps, for joining me. Sorry again, Stilo couldn't be here, but I'm sure he will be back for the next one. And we'll see you soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.